Welcome back to Live from the Heartland. That was T-Bone Walker singing Going to Chicago from a 1966 performance at the Philharmonic with Dizzy Gillespie, Teddy Wilson, Louis Belson, Clark Terry, Coleman Hawkins, Zoot Sims, Ginny Moody, Benny Carter, and Bob Crenshaw. It was really, it was one of my more fun
big names from the past.
And I thought it was deserving to lead into our next guest, who, though he grew up in Michigan City, has been a Chicagoan for a long time, and doing a little Chicago blues. Gabe Gonzalez thought it was a good way for us to get into what you're here to talk us about, which is protecting Rogers Park.
Yep.
Welcome to Live from the Heartland.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, this full disclosure, I spend a lot of time with this guy.
Ooh.
Not as much since he just became, for the first time, a father of a son.
Of a son, yes, that's right.
He's been a father before. He's got a number of daughters, a couple of them, 3. But now we have in the human family Emiliano Gonzalez.
Congratulations, Papa.
Viva!
Really terrific. Also, we co-chair together Network 49. Network 49 was in play for the last couple of years when the number 45 got elected and started putting out his executive orders. So PRP came about. Tell us how PRP came about.
Absolutely. So when 45 came into office, my wife and I were very concerned. We both worked for a long time in immigration issues, related issues, immigration reform, and we were very concerned about what he was going to do in terms of enforcement with people who are undocumented, people who don't have papers. And one day we were sitting around our kitchen table and we'd had a pretty rough night thinking about people that we knew and loved who were going to be affected by this. And basically we just decided to call a meeting and talk with our friends and neighbors about what we could do to protect the undocumented here in Rogers Park. We met up with a couple of other people, Torrance Gardner and Jen Gravel-Bricker, both residents here in Rogers Park, and we planned the meeting. We held it at Living Water Church. We thought we'd have
100 people.
Maybe 100 people if we were on a good day, and we ended up with almost 500. It was standing room only, and that's how PRP was born.
Yeah, it was very impressive. Both of us were sitting at the front table.
I was there signing people up, and the numbers got up to 425, and it kept going. It was pretty impressive.
It was wonderful. It was the heart of Rogers Park opening up, basically.
And I think that's totally right. One of the things, so in the months since then, we've done a lot of work to build out this network and get people engaged. And one of the things that it becomes really clear to us is how much the success of this is because of Rogers Park. Right? We've got a lot of active people in this neighborhood. We've got a lot of people who really care about their community and their neighborhood, and we actually have a lot of really talented people in Rogers Park. People who know how to do press, who know how to do stuff online, who know how to knock doors, who do design, and I mean, it just goes on and on. It's really been a pleasure to work with folks here.
Well, Tom's access to press had something to do with our PRP getting some really good coverage early on. Was that the Mark Brown Connect?
Well,
Tom?
there was Mark Brown, and there was later a WBEZ piece.
Right.
But let's talk about the training first that led to this incredible story on BEZ, which now has gotten some national attention from what I understand. But you're a veteran organizer. You've organized a lot of stuff before, and suddenly more people than you dreamed of show up in your backyard, literally.
Yeah.
And you had nothing else going on in your life.
Except a kid on the way.
How did you decide to gather resources both internally in the neighborhood and from outside the neighborhood? We had folks from American Friends Service Committee on a couple weeks ago talking about their role in this training.
Yeah.
How did you decide what kind of training to do once you saw the energy and the interest?
Well, the strategy that we decided to use was a little bit different than some of what the other groups in Chicago are doing, because there's a lot of resistance around immigration issues.
Because we're an immigrant town.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Union town and immigrant town.
And what we decided was most important was not protecting people once they've been grabbed up. that's important, and there are organizations doing that. And we didn't feel the need to replicate what groups like the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights or OCAD or other organizations do in that front. So instead, we decided to focus on how we stop them from coming here in the first place. What can we do to prevent or discourage ICE from coming into Rogers Park? And that's actually where even the name came from. Protect Rogers Park was literally made up on the spot. As we saw, we had several hundred people here, and this was a real thing, and we had to do something. So we decided that to protect it, what we needed to do was discourage ICE from coming in.
Get out in front of it.
Get out in front of it. And that's how we design the training. The basic idea is it takes ICE a long time to arrest people. We've done a lot of studying in this. It takes, on average, a couple of hours for them to process a single raid site. And we figure in that time, if we can slow them down even more, if we can ruin their day when it comes to timing, we may not be able to save the people who they're serving the warrant on, but we can save everybody else that day because we can stop them.
Gabe Gonzalez, let me ask you about ICE in general in Chicago. The people who were on from the ACLU did mention that there had been some ICE activity, and I'm wondering how close have they come to Rogers Park? Are there any inklings or notions that they've been here already? What can you tell us?
This is really difficult. So yes, we know for a fact that since 45's been here, that they have been here in the past. Part of the system that we set up, we have a hotline number. I'm not going to give it out over the air, but those of you who are interested can find those of us who work on Protect RP, certainly Katie if no one else, and we can give you that number. That hotline is designed to, if anyone sees activity, they can call the number and we can get active to try and determine if it's an ICE raid, and then if it is, work to slow them down or stop them.
And the old-fashioned idea of a phone tree goes into action.
Absolutely.
However much it includes the internet.
A phone tree and, well, these days also a text tree.
Right.
Is a big deal. And that's how we're going to do it. It's interesting. We were at a meeting of organizations. Well, I wasn't there, but one of the other members was there last night and asked the question, how do you know when ICE has been in your neighborhood? And mostly it's after the fact.
Right.
And so we're trying to get ahead of it. Yeah.
Wow.
At what point, given that there haven't been any raids yet, do you move on? Or what do you do with the people that turned out a few months ago who haven't been called yet on the phone tree? What else do you do with those folks and that energy and that concern?
Well, so first off, I would say, for those of you who have been to the meetings, this Thursday at Living Water Church, we're going to have a follow-up meeting where we're going to be talking about the next steps for the organization. So if you're listening and you've been to our meetings and you're asking exactly the question that Tom has, please come by. 7 o'clock.
That's on the corner of Pratt and Ashland.
That's correct.
Northwest corner.
The other thing that I would say is, hold on a second. Okay. One thing that we're absolutely certain we need to do is to increase just essentially community building. One of the things we've learned through this process is the way we keep each other safe is that we know each other. It was a good friend of mine and an organizer in a different organization, Amanda Weaver, who said to me, you don't know to look for someone if you don't know what they look like. And so this summer and in the time ahead, assuming that there are no ICE raids, knock on wood, we're going to spend a lot of time community building and making sure that people know each other. And that's how we'll stay safe.
And dare I bring up the Network 49 canvassing work that's part of that kind of an effort that's going on next Sunday?
You dare.
Yeah.
You dare, and
June
you should.
4th?
Yeah, June 4th we'll kick off what we're calling the community canvas and that's not PRP, but it's Network 49, which includes a lot of PRP folks. But this is our beginning effort outside of the actual being live in a campaign to talk to our neighbors about what's important to them, what they love about this community, and what the community does to love them back.
So, Gabe, we were able collectively to get this wonderful story about the training you were doing, which was around direct intervention to stop law enforcement from doing their job. And I expected more pushback from the from the actions of the Republic of Rogers Park out there than at least I heard personally. But there was a lot of Facebook chatter once I posted the clip and all that. And probably one of the biggest things, even from neighbors, were even those sympathetic to what we were trying to do is, but aren't those people illegal? Haven't they broken the law? Don't we need to uphold the law if we're going to have an organized society? How do you respond to resisting, to intervening, to support lawbreakers?
You know, I think on this kind of issue, the first thing you have to go back to is the letter from a Birmingham jail and what Martin Luther King said, right? That there are certain laws that are unjust. And if you want to be just, you cannot abide by those laws. You have to ignore them. I think that's the standard that we live by. We also we talk a lot within PRP, not just about resistance, but about non-compliance. What it takes for tyranny to succeed in an age like this is for not just for people to do nothing, but for them actually to go with the flow. And we're not going to do that. We will not comply. These laws are unjust. I don't even want to say they're good people. Of course they're good people.
Right.
They're human beings. And they're our friends, and they're our family, and they're our loved ones, and our neighbors, and we're going to stand with them, and we're not going to comply with unjust laws. And that may make some people uncomfortable, I understand that, but I can sleep at night.
You also are a member of Reclaim Chicago. And what's Reclaim up to these days? I attended something a couple weeks ago that was pretty impressive down there in Edgewater.
Well, you mentioned it just recently. So there was an event in Edgewater. It was put together by one of the key leaders, Andre Vasquez, about sort of building a table for political activism on the north side.
Right.
But the big thing you''ve already mentioned early at the beginning of the show is the march down to Springfield. So there have been folks every day. They left, I've forgotten how many days ago.
March 15th.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We've been covering it each week. And so, catch us up.
Yeah, well, it's just been, I don't know the latest. I mean, it all happened so fast. But what I can say is this. Every day they go, it's really been moving to hear, they're bringing a message of economic populism
Right.
Down through the state and talking about what a real people and planet budget would look like for the state. And the response they get is really remarkable. People are everywhere, know they're getting screwed,
Right.
and know that we've got to do something to take care of each other and not just the fat cats.
Yeah, it has been moving to read some of the accounts in small towns that they've passed through and the kind of reaction that people have given them. It's a moving, an impressive array.
Gabe, mention once again the gathering Thursday night.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Living Water Church. If you've been a member of PRP and you want to get the latest, or if you've heard about it and weren't able to make one of the earlier meetings, but want to lend a hand, then please come by. 7 o'clock, Living Water Church, corner of Pratt and Ashland.
We'll all be there. Thank you, Gabe Gonzalez, for all your good work, and congratulations on baby's son, and love and blessings to Marissa, the mom.
Thank you very much.
God love
All
you.
right.
Yay.
You're
All right.
listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7 FM, and we're moving right into our live musical close here with Anthony Moser, who's going to do us a couple of songs here as we get our mics set up. He's already gotten his guitar strumming along here. And we always love to do live music here when we're back at the cafe. Katie?
Yeah, I wanted to give special mention that Tom Rosenfeld just came back from picking up live chickens, because that's the kind of thing he does. But we're going to hope that the next time you hear from us on Live from the Heartland, it's going to be in the new and improved Buffalo Bar, located at 7006 North Glenwood Avenue. You might have known it as the Red Line, but...
Or Roy's if you're old.
Or Roy's if you're old.
Or the Rogers
Ham's
Park
Tap.
Yacht Club if
We
you go
won't
back to
all
the
there.
late 30s.
Anyway, the Heartland Corner keeps evolving with Tom's gracious hand, and we'll have him on the show when we next come back here. What's up, guys? Hey, Anthony Moser, welcome back to Live from the Heartland.
I think it's good to be here.
I love your sound, dude. What are you playing?
This is a song called Not As Many As Blue Cross.
How'd you come up with that title?
It's a true story. If I had $1 for everyone who died because of the insurance, you know I'd have a lot of dollars. But not as many as Blue Cross. No, not as many as Blue Cross.
That's good.
And if I had a dime for every time I had to call and complain and tell them, here's my address, here's my number, here's my name, I'd have a lot of dimes.
Hey, Lynn, back up.
But not as many as Blue Cross. No, not as many as Blue Cross. And the worst part is, I'd have kept it if I could. You know I would. You know I would. If I had a stain on my soul for every time I could have helped someone, but I walked away, don't you know that I'm ashamed to say I'd have a few stains on my soul, but not as many as Blue Cross. No, not as many as Blue Cross. Not as many as Blue Cross.
I got it. It sounds to me like the new regime has affected your songwriting.
Yeah, well, I had that one in the works for a while.
So you're telling me that was a true story?
That is a true story, yes.
Sounds like home. My wife's on the phone with Blue Cross all the time.
Yeah, I recommend recording those calls.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. Last time you were on the show, I think you were working at a blues club and you were running.
That's true. I still work there. Going to keep that separate though. Don't want to talk politics and business in the same day. My opinions.
We do it all the time.
Yeah, I understand, but I don't want people to get the wrong idea. My opinions might be a little more extreme than those of my employer.
Oh.
I don't know how they feel about Blue Cross, and I'm not trying to.
That's Anthony Moser exhibiting much more caution and care and restraint than we ever do.
Then it's permitted on this show.
Exactly.
Don't get used to it.
Let's hear about this TV pilot.
Sure.
Tom Clark just told me about this on our notes. What's the deal?
Yeah, we just did this Thursday, actually. I do kind of a quarterly show with Marty Salmon, usually out in the suburbs in Tinley Park, with them called the Marty Salmon's Blues Fling. It's kind of like a one-night festival almost, where he's the host and they'll headline with a special guest. In this case, it was Jimmy Johnson, and then there'll be opening sets. I'll do a short set myself, and this case, we partnered with WYCC, and we did it in studio down at King College, and it was a little different doing it on a Thursday afternoon, when everyone was sober. But
Did everyone have to be sober? I mean,
well, some people might have been sneaking something in. I don't know about that. Their official policy was that it was dry.
On the City Colleges of Chicago's TV station studio, why isn't there a weekly show on the blues in
I
Chicago?
would love to have an answer for that question. I mean,
there's Tom, full of good ideas.
honestly, I would say the answer is that Chicago doesn't do a great job of valuing its blues heritage or really its musical riches.
Do you agree, Lynn Orman? She's not speaking.
I actually think
thumbs up.
there may be an opportunity with Mark Kelly now running cultural affairs. He's already shaken up the Jazz Fest. Maybe we can get some other partnership collaborations going on, because certainly it's an underutilized studio. It's a wonderful setup. Content is something Channel 20 could use more of, and it seems to me this is a natural way to celebrate one of our natural resources in Chicago.
I certainly don't disagree. And our goal with the pilot episode is both to have something that can air on WYCC, hopefully later this fall, but also to, kind of just serve as an example of what we can do, and hopefully turn it into something that would be more often.
With Blues Fest around the corner, anything you're looking forward to? Or are you in it on a side stage or something?
I'm not playing at Chicago's Blues Fest this year. I'm a little wary, to be honest. They moved it to Millennium Park from Grant Park, which,
Is that too fancy for you, or?
Well, it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Now the sound is a lot better at the Pritzker Pavilion,
it
for
is.
sure. Mm-hmm. So maybe that means they're trying to, give a little more attention to that kind of element.
To
of
live
it.
recordings.
But I worry that it's an indication that they just kind of are downscaling it a little bit.
Huh. Hey, does that mean that the audience space of Millennium is that much smaller than the audience space?
Yeah, the maximum capacity of Millennium Park is around the Pritzker Pavilion and everything, you're talking like 10, maybe 15,000 if you pack
Just
them in there.
15,000, that's all. Sorry.
Well, compared to Grant Park, where you
Which-
can have 150, 200,000 people, no problem.
And room for dancing,
Right, that's a big,
which is a big part of watching Blues Fest, is swaying to the music.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So is there something, besides the fact you're concerned about their kind of downsizing it, is there a particular night that we ought to be sure that we're there because of who the talent lineup is?
To be honest, I haven't been focused too much on the city's Blues Fest. I end up working like a maniac the whole time, and so I rarely get over there myself.
Well, Anthony Moser, let's talk about you.
All right.
How did you get into playing music? Where do you come from?
Well,
what are your aspirations, your goals, your dreams?
Thank you.
In about 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
No.
All right. Well, I'll give you
time.
sure. I'll give you the short version is this. This is my mother's guitar.
Nice.
And so I grew up.
It's an Epiphone.
I grew up in a house with music, and in particular, she was big on folk music. So there was a lot of Woody Guthrie and the Weavers and Pete Seeger and all that kind of stuff.
Folkways.
Oh yeah, big time. And so I've got a lot of influence from that, in particular around songwriting and how I play and how I think about things. I got into Phil Oakes myself later on.
Oh,
who's a
the late great.
He's right there. I like his style a lot. But yeah, I've been, this EP actually that song is off of, and this next one as well is called In the Meantime. And it's on my website. You can check it out, anthonymoser.com. It's on Spotify and iTunes and Bandcamp and SoundCloud and YouTube, and there's other ones. I'm sure.
I guess you know your platforms.
I just check everything. I just put it out there, And it is called In the Meantime because I am releasing later this year an album called The Casual Fact. That's kind of a full band enterprise that I've been putting together for years now.
The casual facts relate at all to fake news and all facts?
There is a song on there called Who's to Know that is about sort of that whole approach to unknowable, like, oh, well, who can really say? You know, is it day or night? Is the earth round? You know, the GOP just wants some more answers. That's all. They just want an investigation. You know?
Earth is becoming flatter.
The earth is becoming flatter. Man, it feels that way.
Anthony Moser, you are a creative bundle, given that you've got to release, and you called it an EP?
Yeah, well, 3 songs. I had these songs that I'd
EP,
written.
what does that stand for?
I think it stands for extended,
Extended play,
It's like
okay.
it's what you got that's in between a single and an album, you know?
And I'm so impressed. You put that out because you need to have that creative burst while you are doing other creative bursts every day, planning for the big one.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Do we have time to hear this?
Another song.
All right, I got
This list of enemies.
List of enemies. Yeah, this
If
one
it goes on, we'll close over you. But
that's
keep
fine.
playing.
I started this. I started. I started right after the election. So. I never thought that you were funny. Always knew that you were mean, but somehow I had hoped white people weren't as racist as they seem. But before you share this country, you'd rather burn it down. And I hear you keep a list of your enemies. Please add me now. You're a racist and a liar. You're a rapist and a fool. You're the archetypal bigot and the segregated school. You're the face of violent hatred now, the world around. And I hear you keep a list of your enemies. Please add me now. There are many you have added to that list along the trail. Anyone who isn't white and everyone who isn't male. But I believe that there are rights with which all people are endowed. Woo! And I hear you keep a list of your enemies. Please add me now. I don't care what you say is legal, who or what you call a crime. There is a time for making choices, and we are in that time. I'll be siding with whoever you say ought to be beaten down. And I hear you keep a list of your enemies. Please add me now. There's a Nazi at your table, there's a Klansman at the door. There's an old familiar hatred that we all have seen before. If you think that you are better, then that time to answer how. Or else start making a list of your enemies. And please add me now. I hear you keep a list of your enemies.
Yeehaw! All right, Anthony Moser. Where can people hear your songs, get your songs? Tell them.
Well, AnthonyMoser.com. I got links there. to everything
Moser,
else. That's
people.
right, yeah.
Anthony
iTunes, SoundCloud,
Moser.
YouTube. You've looked there, I'm out there.
You are wonderful. Thank you so much. We look forward to In the Meantime, which we've just heard 2/3 of, I guess.
That's right. Nice work.
Nice work.
Yeah.